One country cannot be allowed to seize its neighbor's territory by force. Russia could end this war tomorrow by withdrawing its forces from Ukraine, wrecking its international borders, and ceasing its attacks on it, its inhumane attacks on Russia. By Russia on Ukraine.
Whatever, the thing. you know what I meant. Volodymyr, Vladimir, whatever. They're all the same to me. Well, happy Thursday, and the corrupt Biden family, this email that was released by Republicans on Capitol Hill yesterday is huge. It's enormous. It's gigantic. It will be buried by the news media. It goes with the video when you're on television, the audio when you're on radio of Joe Biden saying January 23rd of 2018 that he told the Ukrainians they wouldn't get their $1 billion unless they fired the country's lead prosecutor. Why is that? Well, they had accused him, the prosecutor, of corruption, which is kind of what they always do. Whatever they're doing, they accuse you of doing. The Biden Justice Department under Merrick Garland charged Israeli-American businessman Gal Luft of doing business with China and failing to register the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which are two things that Hunter Biden has been accused of doing for several years now. Hunter Biden hasn't been charged, but then they charged Gal Luft, who came forward and blew the whistle on the Biden family with the crimes, the very same crimes, of which the Biden family has been accused. Coincidence. Then we have what certainly appears to be a quid pro quo when you see what was in this 2015 email from Burisma to Hunter Biden and his colleagues saying, hey, we want really senior U.S. government officials to do everything they can to do downfield blocking for Burisma and the big boss, the president, the owner of Burisma, Nikolai. And then, see, that's the email in 2015. March of 2016, Joe Biden visits Ukraine, where he threatens to withhold $1 billion unless they fire the prosecutor that's investigating Burisma. Check that box. Hunter Biden did a heck of a job there, and their investments in him, that is funneling millions of dollars to him, paid off very big time for Burisma and for Nikolai. But, of course, putting those pieces together will prove too complex for the New York Times and 60 Minutes. They won't do it. November 2nd, 2015 email, right? November. Then in March of 2016, Joe Biden visits Ukraine as vice president. Make sure that the lead prosecutor that's investigating Burisma is fired. Then in January of 2018, nearly 2 years later, he bragged about it at the Council on Foreign Relations. Of course, nobody had seen this email until yesterday. Why? I don't know. The contents of the laptop have been public for quite some time. But here we are, the United States of America 2023. Yeah, looking for positive opinion and support of Nikolai Burisma to the highest level of decision makers. And they got it. Boy, they got it. And the investigation went away, no problem. The money kept flowing to the Biden family coffers, no problem. And Burisma and Nikolai are fine. What a deal. That's how corruption works. Welcome to the Biden family. Just don't call them the Biden organized crime family. All right, it is also, yesterday was Mailbag Day, and we had news that just kept flowing in during the big radio broadcast for 3 hours yesterday, and I didn't get to the mailbag, and I wanted to get to the mailbag, but I failed to. Now, there are a couple of things that I did want to get to about nice things that were sent in and some great T-shirts that I got sent to me by a wonderful listener. Great T-shirts. It's the Luca Brasi Fish Market, where he sleeps with the fishes in Manhattan, New York, since 1945. Luca Brasi Fish Market. And two, that's the Godfather. Oh, that Luca Brasi was the guy that killed people for Vito Corleone. And very nice T-shirts. Those are great. And got those from Mike Enright. Mike Enright, who sent those in. Wonderful things, and I thank you for that. The Luca Brasi T-shirts, good stuff. And a lot of fun. Everybody loves The Godfather, right? Everybody does. And also from Chicago, Illinois, I got this great. It's called a tire thumper, right? From Hardcore Hammers, and the nice owner of Hardcore Hammers I met at a Politics and a Pint in Chicago, or an event, a dinner event with WLS in Chicago. And in fact, the owner of Hardcore Hammers, a great guy. I met him. We had a beer. We had a nice time. And Steve Spencer, the founder and owner of Hardcore Hammers, and he gave me a great hatchet, with very custom, patriotic hatchet, which I have at home under my desk where my computer is, and it's handy at all times. And sent along a tire thumper, which you might mistake for a billy club because it has many of the same characteristics of a billy club from Hardcore Hammers. Very nice. And engraved, it's wooden, and it's, at truck stops you bang on tires for inspections to make sure it's properly inflated, stuff like that. But you could also, break stuff with it because it's a wooden club. And engraved on one side on the wooden tire thumper is it looks like a Secret Service agent saying Cobra, 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 which is, of course, Secret Service code for Joe Biden's naked again and walking around, which he's in the habit of doing.
Cobra, Cobra, Cobra.
And then another engraved Secret Service agent with a squiggly earpiece and sunglasses and a suit saying clamshell, 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 which is the Secret Service code for Jill Biden is walking around naked. They like, in particular, Joe, they like to skinny dip. And, so the Secret Service came up with an informal code word. Cobra, Cobra, Cobra. Joe Biden is loose, and he's naked, and he may be heading to the pool, and he may not, but everybody run for the hills. And then Jill Biden naked all over the place, too. Clamshell, clamshell, clamshell. That's I've confirmed that through multiple sources.
As unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio.
Ah, yes, the unique breakfast tacos of San Antonio.
As distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx.
The Bogotas of the Bronx, the Bogotas. The Bogotas, right? That never lived in a city anywhere, I guess, the bodegas, but never mind that. Also, Mailbag, and Kevin Tober pulled together questions from our wonderful listeners. James Peters sent in a question. As a teacher of young skulls full of mush, I had a student tell me the Democrat and Republican parties made a switch in the not-too-distant past. I attempted to dissuade the errant thought, but I thought I'd love to hear how you would handle such a situation. Now, this is the old Southern strategy thing that the Democrats have been peddling, that they were the party of slavery and the Confederacy and the Klan and Jim Crow. And then magically in 1968, when the Democrats were marauding and looting and burning our cities and rioting and attacking the police, and a Democrat Party presidential campaign volunteer, James Earl Ray, shot and killed Martin Luther King Jr., they decided on a new strategy. They called it the Southern strategy. When Richard Nixon won Southern states in 1968, the Democrats were anti-war in Vietnam, even though they got us into the war in Vietnam, first John F. Kennedy and then big time under LBJ. And but they were rioting and looting and protesting and all the mayhem. And they decided, hey, wait a minute, we're the party of racism. We're going to have to figure a way to slip out of this like the weasels that we are. So they came up with this thing they called the Southern strategy, and they accused the Nixon campaign and the Republicans of finding a way to win the southern states by taking all their racist Democrats away, right? When in reality, there were patriotic Americans in the South who supported the anti-communist war in Vietnam. And even if they didn't support the war in Vietnam, they didn't support the Democrat Party's violence against troops and against our cities and against the police. And so the Democrats lost a lot of voters in the South. And the Democrats said, the Democrat Party, National Party said, well, we can use this to our advantage because we're weasels. We're very slimy, slippery, lizard-like creatures, and we can now free ourselves of our own history and pretend that there was a do-si-do and that we swapped places, and the Republicans now have all the racists and we don't. See? And that was called the Southern Strategy. The New York Times wrote a piece on this years ago called The Myth of the Southern Strategy. And there was, lefties everywhere. And if you Googled The Myth of the Southern Strategy, you'll find a number of articles and pieces written about how the big lie that the Democrats rolled out in 1968 was nothing more than that, a big lie, in an effort to wash their hands of their own history, like Pontius Pilate, to wash their hands of their own history of racism. And the history of racism in America is the history of the Democrat Party, just by the way. Robert Fisher asked, what type of training do you have? Are you prepared for when Jason takes a swing at you at Newsmax? Newsmax is my 9 p.m. Eastern show on Newsmax. And Jason Nichols sits next to me on the set, and he's the lefty guy. And he likes to talk a lot about how he's a boxer, and he goes to the gym, and he boxes, and he spends all his time lifting weights and boxing and things like that. Jason is a perfectly good guy. He's wrong about everything, because he's a liberal. And he's very big on the change of the subject and attack. And a lot of times we have to say, well, that's all very interesting, but that's not what we're talking about here. Because he talks about things that are completely non-responsive to the and he does seem, I've watched it on television, it looks like he's seething sometimes and like he's brooding. And then he'll laugh and smile. We're trying to bring him into the fold of people who are happy. But when you're a leftist, that's a very difficult thing. What sort of training do you have? I'm probably wilier than I look and craftier than I look. I had a few years at Catholic school, and I grew up in a house with 6 brothers. Beyond that, I wouldn't want to discuss any formal or informal training. And All Raw says, you always advertise your Newsmax show on your radio show. Why not vice versa? Do you think everyone who watches knows you have a radio show too? It's a very good question. I'm not, some people are much more natural self-promoters than I am. I'm not a natural self-promoter because I'm modest and humble, like, traditional Americans. It is an American characteristic to be modest and humble. And not everyone is as modest and humble as they should be, I've noticed. Now, I've mentioned only once or twice on the Newsmax show that I host a radio show, and I think I said the other day, it's the best radio show in the country. I think I said that. I might have been maybe a little tongue-in-cheek, but only a little. But you're right. All Raw, I think you're right. I'm gonna have to bring it up more frequently, I think. So we got that. And from David in Silver Spring, Maryland, what is the band and the name of your opening theme song? The theme song. You know what that is? That's Jump Into the Fire. Jump Into the Fire, right? By Harry Nilsson, right? I was thinking Donovan. Yeah, it's Harry Nilsson. Jump Into the Fire. And did you choose it? Yes, I did choose it. Yes, is there a story behind Rush's opening theme song? He's got Rush's opening theme song was, of course, da dum bum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum ba dum dum, and that's good old what's her name? I don't know the story behind he said there was a story behind Rush's opening theme music, and I know that I can hum along with it, but the Pretenders. It's the Pretenders, naturally. You went back to Ohio, but it's Harry Nilsson and Jump Into the Fire. I chose the song because I liked the drums. All right, the driving drums. And we started using it. And I was like, I'm not sure we have enough of the drums in there. I want to use the drums more. I'm not sure we still use them enough. And then I noticed, what is it? It's in the movie Goodfellas, isn't it? I think so, yeah. It's in the movie Goodfellas. But I only noted that after we started using it, because we started using it very early on in my radio thing. What do you want to use? And I liked it because of the drums, the driving drums. That's the correct answer to that. Hey, do you have smelly odors in your home or your office you just can't get rid of? You know, some people do. Maybe a smelly teenager. Maybe Michael Moore comes over to the house or something like that. Now you can get rid of any stinky odor with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. The Thunderstorm gets rid of strong odors from cooking, cigarette smoke, litter boxes, trash cans, even leftists. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. The Thunderstorm starts working in seconds to clear any room of stinky odors. Plus, there are no costly filters to buy and replace and schedule your replacements. More than 350,000 Thunderstorm units already sold across the country. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. It works like a champ. I've got 2 at home. During this week, I've got a great deal for you to get your own Thunderstorm. Right now, you can save $200 American on 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorm units for your home, for your office. That's 3 units for under $200. You can hold one in your hand. They're only this big. Just go to EdenPureDeals.com. Enter the code Chris. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris. Plus, you get free shipping, too. Yes, sir. Yeah. Mailbag questions. Mailbag questions. And gifts sent by nice people. A tire thumper from my friend in Chicago. And the Luca Brasi Fish Market T-shirts. Those are fun, too. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. There was a big hearing on Capitol Hill with FBI Director Christopher Wray. That's coming up because he didn't tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. He was very weaselly, and he has that permanent sneer on his face, doesn't he? And one of my brothers in Chicago texted me very early this morning, especially his time, to say that he had concluded that Christopher Wray was a lion Sacagawea, and I believe that's true. I agreed. I concurred with my brother's text in responding with another text, and we've got that coming up. Christopher Wray, the FBI. We also have more on unrelated subjects like racism and front door cameras. It's quite a scurrilous thing. That's coming up as well. Our federal agencies. Yeah, the Secret Service has put out an official statement on their failure. Official statement on the investigation of a substance found in the White House. Why don't they just say cocaine? We know what it is. It's not a secret. They hide, saving it for a surprise later in the press release. On the evening of July 2nd, officers from the U.S. Secret Service Uniform Division found an unknown substance inside a vestibule leading to the lobby area of the West Executive Avenue entrance to the White House. That's where Kamala comes in. I think she might be a suspect. The substance was located inside a receptacle used to temporarily store electronic and personal devices prior to entering the West Wing. It says now it was located inside a receptacle. I think that's a change because, it's changed many times now. Following the discovery, safety closures were implemented around the White House. They evacuated the White House, but they say that safety closures were implemented, right? This response was designed to ensure that the found substance was not a chemical or radiological material that threatened the security of the White House. As such, the substance was field tested and preliminarily determined not to be a hazardous compound. Unless you're addicted to it, then it could be hazardous. Testing conducted by the District of Columbia Fire Emergency Medical Services Department indicated that the found powder tested preliminarily positive for the presence of cocaine. See? The substance and packaging were treated as evidence and sent to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's National Biodefense Analysis and Countermeasures Center. We have a U.S. Department of Homeland Security National Biodefense Analysis and Countermeasures Center. Well, that's what we have, one of those, in case you were wondering, which analyzed the item for any bio threats. Tests conducted at this facility came back negative and gave formal confirmation that the substance was not biological in nature. Just say it was cocaine. Why don't you just speak English like a normal person, all right? The substance and packaging underwent further forensic testing. The substance was analyzed for its chemical composition. The packaging was subjected to advanced fingerprint and DNA analysis. Both of these analyses were conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Well, if you can't trust them, who can you trust? The Federal Bureau of Investigation Crime Laboratory, given their expertise in this area and independence from the investigation. Yeah, is the government governmental enough? Honestly, you people are embarrassing. You found coke. You couldn't figure it out. Is that it? You can make it like fortune cookie sized. But this is, while awaiting the FBI's results, the Secret Service investigation into how this item entered the White House continued. Did you look at the video? Because I find it is a good idea to look at the video. The investigator, unless you don't have a Ring camera, because those are racist, in your doorbell. The investigation included a methodical review of security systems and protocols. You guys get over yourselves, would you? This review included a backwards examination that spanned several days prior to the discovery of the substance and developed an index of several hundred individuals who may have accessed, as a verb, the area where the substance was found. The focal point of these actions, Hunter Biden, developed a pool of known persons for comparison of forensic evidence gleaned from the FBI's analysis of the substance's packaging. On July 12th, 10 days later now, Secret Service received the FBI laboratory's results. Soon we'll get those JFK documents, too, which did not develop latent fingerprints, and insufficient DNA was present for investigative comparisons. The Secret Service is now investigating the hit and run that killed a 75-year-old tourist yesterday at the intersection of Constitution Avenue and 17th Street when the guy ran through the red light. And now the Secret Service is investigating. In several months, we'll find out that they have not gotten to the bottom of it, even though they have the license plate, a description of the car. There are cameras all over the place. But, you can't depend on, you got the... So, therefore, the Secret Service was not able to compare evidence against the known pool of individuals. Couldn't do it. Just couldn't happen. It looks like the criminal's going to get away with it. The FBI's evaluation of the substance also confirmed it was cocaine. See? That's amazing. There was no surveillance video footage found that provided investigative leads. Really, you have no cameras in the West Wing, huh? Maybe you guys should get a Ring camera. Put it on the door. I found those to be very helpful. Don't you think those are very helpful? There was no surveillance video footage that provided investigative leads or any other means for investigators to identify who may have deposited the found substance. That's the cocaine in this area Without physical evidence, you have physical evidence, the investigation will not be able to single out a person of interest from the hundreds of individuals who passed through the vestibule. It's a vestibule where the cocaine was discovered. At this time, the Secret Service investigation is closed due to lack of physical evidence. You guys are good. How about maybe you should now look into who leaked that Supreme Court ruling, and then you can get back to us in a few weeks and tell us that you have no way of finding out. The U.S. Secret Service takes its mission to protect U.S. leaders' facilities and events seriously. I know that you do. And we're constantly adapting to meet the needs of the current and future security environment. That's a very lengthy way of saying, we don't know. I don't know. Speaking of racist cameras, and they are many, they are everywhere. The racist cameras that you don't want one of those racist cameras, do you? Because they're racist. And the good people at Wired Magazine, have you heard of Wired Magazine? It's Wired Magazine. And they've got they do tech stuff, right? And they published a story, day before yesterday, why we don't recommend Ring cameras. I brought it in yesterday, but I didn't get to it. I did do it on my Newsmax program, however. They're affordable and ubiquitous, but homeowners shouldn't be able to act as vigilantes. And they got a picture of a Ring door camera here because, they're racist. These cameras are racist. Most of the time, product testing is pretty simple, Wired Magazine writes. If a router is better and has more features, than another router and a similar price, you give it a better score and move on. And that's what they say. But now they're very upset because they're concerned that Ring cameras, the front doorbell cameras, who, by the way, did you know that they're owned by Jeff Bezos? Jeff Bezos bought Ring, these cameras he bought the company because he wanted one for his front door, so he bought the company. But this is a pretty amazing story. We believe that they've got the Ring doorbells, and you can call your neighbors for assistance, contact camera owners for direct footage, and Wired Magazine, they say, we believe this feature should not exist. When we interviewed Nextdoor CEO Sarah Fryer on steps the company was taking to reduce racial profiling. Now, what does that have to do with racial profiling? They've been concerned about an issue since Ring camera started partnering with police departments. And they don't want Ring cameras partnering with police departments because, racism. So they say at Wired Magazine that they don't want you using Ring cameras because people will profile using their cameras and, enough racial profiling, because you can't have racial profiling, and it's going to be bad for people of color when people use their Ring cameras and someone outside the door is someone who's not white. Now, what if the person is white? See, the camera never blinks, and the camera catches white people too. Am I right about that? Don't these cameras just shoot video of the people that are stealing your Amazon package off the front doorstep? Well, you'd think, but multiple members of Wired Magazine's gear team have spoken to Ring over the years. And the company has been clear, and it's what customers want. And there is no evidence that more video surveillance footage keeps communities safer. That's what they say. Well, then we shouldn't have cameras all over the cities in America because they don't keep communities safer. Instead, this feature, Neighbors, increases the possibility of racial profiling, makes it easier for both private citizens and law enforcement agencies to target certain groups for suspicion of crime based on skin color, ethnicity, religion, or country of origin. How does grainy video determine your country of origin exactly? How does it determine your religion? Are you wearing a sarong and a turban? Do you have a fez when you're stealing packages? It's a tarbouche, not a fez. It's a tarbouche. And that's what the Wired magazine people say. It's racist to have a Ring camera and have it linked to law enforcement because racial profiling. And, you know, what does that have to do with anything? You people are mentally ill. It's video of somebody stealing stuff off your front doorstep, all right? And if there's video, it might reveal your race, but, your parents created your race. So get over yourselves, you mental cases. Honestly, what is the matter with you people? And country of origin, I like that one best. It could, and they built in religion, ethnicity, and naturally country of origin, because that makes a lot of sense. Just amazing. And I'm informed also that the Secret Service is now investigating the hit and run very close to the White House, where a 75-year-old man was killed yesterday. But I'm thinking it should be real easy. You got a 2006 blue Honda Accord and the license plate, Virginia license plate. But now that the Secret Service is involved, I'm thinking maybe they'll never find out who it was. It's possible. Man, it is an embarrassing press release, I think, for the Secret Service. There is no video surveillance, really? Now you just revealed a security secret there, that you can go there and there's no security, there are no cameras, really? Because I remember when the Capitol, there was a little bit of a dust up there a few years ago now, and there were like 20,000 cameras in every keyhole, in every electrical outlet, another video camera. But at the White House, I guess not so much.
I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
Schultz, I'm telling you. Man, oh, man. Okay, so we got that. Now, we have the FBI. Oh, look at the time. I can't believe it. All right, let's get to whatever Christopher Wray we can. I know you've been hearing a lot of Christopher Wray, but I got to get all this crazy stuff. And it's in Washington, D.C., it's Black Restaurant Week. It's Black Restaurant Week. So is next week White Restaurant Week? No, it's not. They have Restaurant Week every year, but it's not black or white. It's just Restaurant Week. Christopher Wray, yesterday, he's Lion Sacagawea.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you?
Matt Gaetz.
Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI does not and has no interest in
you won't answer the question
anyone
about whether or not that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing about you.
It is deeply revealing about him. And a few other things were deeply revealing about him, too. My Midwestern brother calling him a Lion Sacagawea.
How many illegal FISA queries have occurred under your leadership of the FBI?
Illegal?
Well, there are reports that have come out with different numbers about compliance incidents.
More than
compliance
a million
incidents.
Illegal ones? Because that's what the Inspector General said. The Inspector General said that in the 3.4 million of these queries, more than 1 million were in error.
I'm not sure, actually, that's a correct characterization of the Inspector General's findings.
Well, I do. He's not saying that's not true. Well, let me see if I can refine that characterization for all of the illegal Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act requests that we've had, and how many of them do not conform with the law.
In a field office attempted to spy on Catholic churches and their congregations and frame them as extremists. Why don't we get the information when we ask for it, when we subpoena for it?
As I said, we're going to give you a briefing on the internal review, and then we can discuss additional information that may...
Because you're going to try to shape it differently and make it out that it was kind of okay.
We couldn't possibly do that in public. Then the American people might find out what we're doing here.
Either this is a director who has all kinds of activity, bad activity, swirling around him, and he's not cognizant of it, and he's up on high and doesn't know what's going on in field offices, or this is a director that wasn't truthful and open and honest with us.
Congressman Jeff Van Drew He wasn't open, honest. He was lying. He was evading. He was deflecting. He was dishonest. He was untrustworthy. And he had that sneer on his face, which I think is a permanent condition. That's our FBI. And our Secret Service showed up today, too. Couldn't possibly tell you how that cocaine got in there. We don't have cameras or anything. I mean, there are no fingerprints, because who leaves fingerprints on, Ziploc bags? You got a long press release. And the FBI, just the illegal ones? Those are the only ones? How many millions? Well, I don't think that's an accurate characterization of the number of millions, because it was much more than that. John Kerry, former cabinet secretary, senator, a rich guy, married the Teresa Heinz, the heir to the Heinz ketchup, Heinz food fortune. The family has a private jet. They have foundations. They have private jets. Kerry flies all over the place on private jets, talking about the weather. And in 2021, he was asked about, the hypocrisy of flying to environmental festivals on private jets.
On that issue, pollution, I understand that you came here with a private jet. Is that an environmental way to travel?
If you offset your carbon, it's the only choice for somebody like me who is traveling the world to win this battle.
That's right. It's the only way. They sold their multi-million-dollar estate on Nantucket when it was announced that a wind farm would be built in the ocean off of their beach, and moved over to Martha's Vineyard, where there will be no wind farm. John Kerry's on Capitol Hill today testifying about the weather, and somebody asked him about his private jet use.
I just don't agree with your facts, which began with the presentation of one of the most outrageously persistent lies that I hear, which is this private jet. We don't own a private jet. I don't own a private jet. I personally have never owned a private jet. And obviously, it's pretty stupid to talk about coming in a private jet from the State Department up here. Honestly, if that's where you want to go there.
Nobody said that you flew to Capitol Hill in a private jet from the State Department at 23rd Street, 22nd Street. Nobody said that, obviously. But and he's very defensive. And his current wife, Teresa Heinz, the widow of late Senator John Heinz of the Heinz food fortune. And according to the Hill Washington newspaper, the family owns a private jet. Maybe it's owned by one of their corporations or one of their foundations, and technically not in their name. But he's a weasel, and you can't trust him.